One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm from the depths of darkness. A voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides unto his ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Whistles report and paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Well. Lots of shit has happened since Trump said, hey, we're coming in for those fucking hostages. There will be all hell to be breaking loose if, January 20th comes around and nothing has happened. So, hey, we're already starting it off with the fucking banger, man. Much love, honor, respect to all of you legends up in the building. I very much appreciate you guys. Obviously, you guys see what we're talking about. This is regarding the Israel war. Regarding Hamas, Hamas accepts a ceasefire draft agreement, and that includes the hostages as well. So before we get into it, man, make sure you guys hit that like button. It's free to do so. It's absolutely, listen, it's the number one metric of all of YouTube. It helps out the show. I don't ask you guys to send in money. I don't ask you guys to do shit. I just ask you guys to hit that like button. You know what I mean? If you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button as well. It's also free to do so. Also, please consider becoming a member starting only at $2.99 a month, man. Every single Saturday morning, 10 a.m. CST, we get down with the Breakfast Club members only live stream with you guys, man. We have a great ass time over there. Also, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only myself, of the show, as well as Millennial Food Time. This is like better than my phone number, so hit me up over there. And last but not least on the call to actions, listen, man, of course, every super chat, every super sticker, gift and membership signups, all of that kind of stuff is, of course, going to be shouted out. But if you guys would like to help out the show and skip that brutal 30% YouTube cut, we have these scrolling for the remainder of the show. And, of course, I will be shouting out your message and the money amount that you sent. All right, getting into the fucking business. Yes, sir, Wolfheim. He says, here it comes. Coffee. 27 Swedish crowns, by the way. I very much appreciate you, kind sir. Now, I picked this for my coffee this morning only because there is going to be we're going to be listening to a press conference here actually very, very soon. Like, we're going to hear it right now, actually. It's live right now, but we need to get past the very first part, which is regarding the Hamas ordeal. And then we're going to hear Anthony Blinken, as you guys know who the hell that is. He's going to come out and speak for the very last time, and he's speaking on the peace in the Middle East. So, of course, we're going to be getting into that. But I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with us this morning. We got Joseph over there on the Facebook side. And by the way, Joseph, I did shout you out when you sent that $10 PayPal, but I just saw it like fucking 50 minutes later. So I just wanted you to know that I really appreciate that, since you're here right now and I can see you. So I very much appreciate that. Organized Insanity says he hates donos and memberships. Shit.
Stop the cap.
Definitely not true, but I'm just not someone that's going to force somebody to do that or make you feel like you have to. We got Barbie up in here saying, hello, fam, listening but driving. Hey, this is going to be a good one. That's for damn sure. All right, so let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the madness, because we do have a ceasefire draft agreement that has been agreed upon, and I would, of course, love to expand on that. Crystal Strange up in here from South Africa saying, yo, let's fucking go. What up, mofos? And Mike, hey, man, always appreciate you, man. All right, let's go ahead and get into this real quick. And this is the latest numbers this morning on the fires, by the way. It's kind of like a little cutscene that is about to move on over into this segment regarding Hamas. But Palisades, by the way, as you guys know, we've been reporting on all of these fires over in California. It's stuck at 14%. The Hearst fire is, listen, 97% contained. That's fantastic. The Hearst fire was huge as well. I mean, not as big as Eaton and Palisades, but, nonetheless, it's good that they're at least getting the Hearst fire down, and they need to move this number. I want to see this number go down, because it's been stuck at 11. It was stuck at 11% yesterday and the day before, and then it moved up 3%. Up into 14% yesterday. So anyway,
we do want to share some breaking news with you as relates to the conflict in Gaza. Take a good look at your screen here at 8:42 on the East Coast. You're getting a live look out in Khan Yunis, Gaza, one of the areas heavily impacted by the Israel-Hamas conflict. The Associated Press reporting on this Tuesday morning that Hamas has accepted a draft agreement for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of dozens of hostages. Two officials involved in the talks saying this did happen on this Tuesday. A mediator out in...
Right, that's today for us, but it happened, because they're like 8 hours ahead of us or 7 hours or something like that ahead of us. So I think it's actually even a little bit further than that, 9 hours. But nonetheless, it happened today.
Qatar saying that Israel and the Palestinian militant group were at the, quote, closest point yet to sealing a deal, end quote. The Associated Press obtaining a copy of the proposed agreement and an Egyptian official and a Hamas official confirming its authenticity. An Israeli official saying progress has been made, but the details are being finalized. The plan would need to be submitted to the Israeli cabinet for final approval. All three officials spoke on conditions of being anonymous to discuss the closed-door talks.
What's up, Martin? Good morning to you.
Give you some perspective and background of this, the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, they have spent the past year trying to mediate an end to the 15-month-long war and secure the release of dozens of hostages captured in Hamas's October 7th attack that triggered all of this. Some 100 people are still captive inside Gaza on this.
So they said, so it's like 101 people that are still captured right now, right? That are hostages. Now, my only concern is why they said dozens of, they're going to be negotiated dozens of releases. Now, that makes me wonder, like, okay, well, why isn't it all of them? What's going on there politically? What do you guys think? Is it because that they're not alive anymore? Like what's happening? What do you guys think?
Tuesday, and the military believes at least a third of them are dead. Now, any deal is expected to deliver a pause in fighting and bring Israel and Hamas a step closer in winding down.
This cat is like straight Hezbollah right now. She's just terrorizing the hell out of me. What's up? Meowing for the... There you go. You guys can hear her purr. All right, back to this.
Most deadly and destructive war they've ever fought. A conflict that has destabilized the broader Middle East and sparked worldwide protests. Part of the reason for that controversy is that looming humanitarian crisis. You can see that in real time as people have literally
headed to Boston.
Pitched tents because they are displaced. And then we know there are many camps set up where people were told that they would be free from the fighting, and unfortunately...
What's up, Tats, over there in the UK? Good to see you, by the way. We got some big news going on in Israel as of today.
Some of those camps have been targeted as well because Hamas will literally embed themselves inside and use those innocent people as human shields. Here at 8:45 on the East Coast, again, bringing you this breaking news, courtesy of the Associated Press. Hamas accepting a draft agreement for a Gaza ceasefire and the release of hostages.
Yes, sir, Mr. Boulay. We got fucking Alabama's finest up in the building. Very much appreciate you guys and your support, man.
Again, this is preliminary information. So as we get more into our live now from Fox Studio, you'll be the first to know.
So now that was a really quick little clip that was like 2 minutes long. Okay. That's really all that was reported. And then I saw this. Okay. So let me reset my camera first because I'm lagging. All right. So then I saw that Anthony Blinken is going to have his very last speech, his very last press conference regarding the Middle East. Actually, I think it's his last speech, period. So this will be the very last time, and he speaks on peace in the Middle East. Of course, that guy has no fucking clue. Dude's a fucking idiot. Anyways, we got Bright Morning Star up in here. Believe it to see it. We need ceasefire, stop war. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. But good morning to Bright Morning Star. I like that. Yes, so we're about to get into the craziness over there. So let's go ahead and bring your attention over to Anthony Slinkin. Just total fucking scumbag. Oh, we got Hardwire up in here. Good morning, kind sir.
Greetings to those.
Oh, yeah, they've been serious. They've been serious for a minute.
Our new headquarters in Washington, D.C., and virtually from around the world.
That's as loud as he goes. I'm maxed out on my board and on the software.
I'm Fred Kemp, President and CEO of the Atlantic Council, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this edition of Atlantic Council Front Page, our premier platform for global leaders.
Good morning, War Gorilla.
71st U.S.
My
Secretary
man.
of State Anthony J. Blinken on American leadership and the future of the Middle East. This event is being live streamed on Atlantic Council TV, YouTube, Facebook.
And our current source right now, believe it or not, is the Times and the Sunday Times. This is because every other live stream was, believe it or not, muted. I don't know what the fuck was going on with the like even CBS, they were live streaming it and it's muted. So I went around and there was only 3 live streams, which is crazy to me. There was only 3 live streams of this ordeal, and this was one of them that had the audio. So, and this is ongoing right now. You know, this is ongoing right now.
Join the conversation on X by following.
What's up, brother Frank? Good morning.
The Atlantic Council and using the hashtag.
Yes, Charles.
Hashtag AC Front Page. So Secretary Blinken.
Yeah, I don't think we'd buy anything. I think it would be them only essentially getting. They'd be just getting a fuck ton of fucking benefits if they just did it. You know, I don't think we need to buy anything, even if it's Canada or Greenland or any of that. We don't need to buy shit. There wouldn't be a dollar exchange for that. No, hell no.
We're honored that you've come to the Atlantic Council to deliver what we're told will be your final speech as America's top diplomat, focusing on the Middle East, a region that I don't have to tell anyone in this room has undergone profound changes.
You know, I heard about that, but I didn't like research or like actually do anything regarding that. I didn't see it, but I did hear about it.
And consequences for the United States and the wider world in the last months. This is in the context of a historic moment globally, one that President Biden again yesterday in a speech at the State Department described as an inflection point, characterized by wars.
Yeah, War Gorilla, it's because of our topic. Some people, like what I've noticed about that with the censorship on the platform, it only happens to like people. Some people can get away with it on like stuff like this. For instance, I could be in there right now and be not affected, but you be affected. I have no idea why that happens. Maybe it's because it knows what we've been saying on the platform, you know, and they know, hey, he speaks about Israel in the comments all the fucking time. So anytime that this shit comes up and his opinions, blah, 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 they just go, you know what? We're just going to wipe them. Like, I'm trying to imagine how that system of AI or whatever works. But War Gorilla, I always appreciate you, man.
In Europe, the Middle East, and in Africa, rising tensions with China and an accelerating competition for the commanding heights of technological change. Before we go any further, I want to salute you, Secretary Blinken, for your remarkable leadership and contributions.
Bro, stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
Remarkable leadership and contributions? Contributions to what? To what?
To salute you, Secretary Blinken, for your remarkable leadership and contributions through this moment of historic challenge. Following your rich
Isn't that weird, War Gorilla?
Over so many years of distinguished,
I think they do that shit on purpose.
Previously. Returning to the Middle East, the region has been transformed after Hamas terrorist attacks against Israel and hostage-taking of October 7th, 2023, and by everything that has followed that. Israel's subsequent wars in Gaza and Lebanon, direct military exchanges between Israel and Iran, unprecedented in nature, the ceasefire in Lebanon, and the fall of the Assad.
So the ceasefire with Lebanon, what he just said, is the actual the Hezbollah ceasefire. Even though it's labeled that as the Hezbollah ceasefire, it's actually a ceasefire agreement with the Israeli government, the IDF, as well as the Lebanese government. Has nothing to do with Hezbollah. But yeah, anyways, back to this.
In Syria. At the Atlantic Council, we have sought to highlight the stakes and potential solutions across the Mideast. We've done so for many years through our Rafi Career Center for the Middle East, through our Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative and its Iran Strategy Project, through our Syria Strategy Project, as well as through our strategic litigation projects work to hold the Iranian regime accountable and to establish a Syria Victims Fund. Significantly, we have also done this through our N7 initiative in partnership with the Jeffrey Talpins Foundation, which seeks to advance the process of regional integration launched by the Abraham Accords among the United States, Israel, Arab partners, and Muslim partners around the world. So thanks to Will Wexler and the Atlantic Council.
You are just doing some prattle. Let Blinken speak now so we can hear more liberal prattle.
Remarkable Mideast team. History is in motion, Mr. Secretary, and you've been at the center of it with your work.
Why are you sucking them off?
The United States to secure a more prosperous global future.
Stop the cat.
As you wrote,
oh my goodness.
Stop the cat. U.S. foreign policy more broadly, quote, the choices the United States makes in the second half of this decisive decade will determine whether.
Yeah, I did see that, by the way. It's what I want to happen is because it's live right now, Steve. And I know you're surprised about that. And I was kind of torn. I'm not going to lie. I was torn whether to cover Israel or to cover this whole ordeal. Now, being that we've been speaking and been on the war subject around the world on this channel, and of course politics, but we've been talking heavy on the Middle East. And so when I see essentially an acceptance of a ceasefire agreement, a draft at least, that's a humongous ordeal. And then we have Anthony Blinken that's going to be coming out and discussing. Now, the truth is I always go where I try to, anyways. I try to go to where everyone's at. I go the opposite way because I kind of look at it like, okay, everyone's focus is here. There's going to be some shit said over here. I mean, there was not that long ago, we were covering the UN, Steve. You saw that. And there was like 2 people in the audience. And there was only like 7 or 12 people watching the live stream. From like a multi-million platform, no one cared. I only cared, which is fucking crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, and we hear shit that normally would be covered up by some other bullshit, you know? So anyways, but it is a huge deal. It is a huge deal regarding the hostages, American lives, just the lives in general. So, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be covering that shit tomorrow or whatever, or even maybe later on today. I don't know. I mean, I break news every day.
Remains a time of renewal or returns to a time of regression. One last thing before Secretary Blinken takes the stage.
Dude, you're just sucking them off.
In a moving exchange between you and President Biden yesterday at the State Department.
Oh my goodness.
The president said the following about you.
Oh my goodness. I can't stand this dude already. Tat's gifting out a membership, by the way. Listen, I can't thank you enough. That helps not only me, but it helps someone in the Breakfast Club, man. I very much appreciate that. Crystal Taylor got it up in the building. Shout out to Crystal. I appreciate that, Tats.
You're not only brilliant, you have incredible character. You have more integrity than almost anybody I know. It's now my privilege to welcome Secretary of State Blinken, a man of integrity and accomplishment in the final days of one of the world's most challenging jobs, to deliver keynote remarks.
Stupid.
After the Secretary's speech, I will join him in conversation on stage. Mr. Secretary, the floor is yours.
Emotional damage.
This was rough. Yo, Carney coming in hot with the 3 months, by the way, showing love like that. I love that. We got the fire Christmas tree and then a couple of smokes. Listen, man, I very much appreciate you, kind sir. Thank you for being a member and supporting this, this beautiful channel and community. I very much appreciate that, kind sir. Shit. That was a lot of a baloney. A lot of baloney.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. And Fred, to you.
Okay, this guy came out.
Generous introduction. But thank you especially for your leadership of this council. Over
Here comes my coffee, everybody.
It's wonderful to be with you today. It's wonderful to be in this extraordinary new location. Back in the early 1960s, leading diplomats, public intellectuals, philanthropists, and others came together in Washington to create an organization that was founded on meeting the challenges of an increasing.
I really wish I can increase the volume on this. There is nothing I can do. I'm blasted on my computer, on YouTube, on my board. I'm as maxed out as possible. And every other live stream is muted.
Interdependent world. In attendance.
Yo, Carney gifting out one too, by the way. Shit, look at that, man. Beaker got it, man. Hell yeah, that's what I love to see. Man, I hate this. So sometimes I get this weird camera glitch. I don't know why. I'm gonna end up getting a brand new DSLR camera, like one of those really high-end ones, so I can stop having this issue. But anyways, Carney, thank you so much for that. And Beaker got it, man. That's awesome. That's awesome right there. He'll be stoked. Appreciate your support.
Secretary of State Dean Russ.
Seriously.
Who was blunt about what he thought would be most useful for this council. The department is hoping for initiative, research, and if necessary, the boxing.
Oh, shit. 27 Swedish fucking crowns coming through by Wolfheim. Some beer. Absolutely. Look, what we can do, though. This cat is just going crazy over here. What is she doing? Anyways. I very much appreciate you, kind sir. That helps out immensely. That's what I'm talking about. Perfect. All right. Cheers. Appreciate that.
That's exactly what the council's delivered for more than 6.5 decades, starting with the transatlantic relationship.
True.
Growing to incorporate expertise on other parts of the world, including the region that I want to talk about today, the Middle East. Now,
here goes the Middle East.
Outset, the Biden administration's primary goal in the Middle East was not to repeat the blunder of years past of trying to transform its governments or its societies.
Bruh. Oh my goodness. You let out already with some serious bullshit. What are you talking about?
But rather to transform relations with, between, and among U.S. partners in the region.
I cannot stand the way these politicians speak, especially these fucking lefties. I just don't understand it, dude. Why do they speak like this?
Saw a more integrated region.
It's the only way they can get elected.
To be stable and secure, to deliver economic opportunity for its people, to find solutions to shared challenges from pandemics and terrorism to infrastructure and energy needs. A more integrated region is also in a stronger position to prevent anyone.
Yes, it's for real, Pitbull.
From dominating the other.
And the shit has nothing to do, by the way, nothing to do with the Joe Biden / Obama administration. Okay? All of this is happening because essentially what Trump said. You guys remember, I played the clip. We did it live. We were covering it while Trump was speaking at Mar-a-Lago. He said, January 20th, my inauguration comes, and if there has not been a deal made and our hostages have been returned and Israel's hostages have been returned, then there will be all hell will break loose. Well, I promise you, like I was telling you guys during that live stream, That was a fucking statement. And trust me, while we heard it live, while we heard that shit live, Hamas heard that shit live too. I promise that. And then we see all of a sudden Hamas accepts a ceasefire draft agreement. Has nothing to do with Joe Biden, has nothing to do with these lefties, has all to do with what exactly Trump said. So, W Trump, by the way. Trump effect coming in thick. All right.
Or any outside country from dominating the region.
They're going to take claim for it, but, you know, it is what it is.
To avert, to de-escalate, to end conflict through diplomacy. We moved swiftly to pursue this vision. We deepened and broadened the Abraham Accords. We spearheaded new coalitions like I2U2, bringing together India, Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States to tackle shared challenges. We announced a groundbreaking economic corridor connecting India.
I2D2. I've never even heard of that. I don't know what that means. I know what R2D2, right? R2D2. Yeah, I know that Star Wars and shit. The rolling around trash can motherfucker. But I don't know what that shit is.
Sure. We worked with the UN to mediate a truce in Yemen. We continued to lead and strengthen an 87-nation counter-ISIS coalition. In the wake of the Trump administration's unilateral and misguided exit from the Iran nuclear deal, we made clear there was a path to mutual return to compliance if Tehran was willing to take the steps necessary. At the same time, we strengthened America's robust sanctions regime on Iran and delivered on President Biden's commitment.
You will forever be known as Bloody Blinken, Secretary of Genocide. You have the blood of hundreds of thousands of innocent people on your hands. We have spent
Thank you. I respect your views. Please allow me to share mine. Thank you.
Shit.
Emotional damage.
So to continue. At the same time, we strengthened America's robust sanctions regime on Iran and delivered on President Biden's commitment that Iran would not obtain a nuclear weapon on his watch. Finally,
what just happened?
We made significant progress toward a comprehensive agreement that would strengthen our strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia and normalize relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. On October 10th, 2023, I was scheduled to travel to Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Hey, he picked that shit back up like it didn't affect him whatsoever. Holy shit. Super, super incredible. And I hate to fucking say this. I hate to say this. Extremely rare, probably the only W fucking Anthony Blinken's ever gotten. Shit. I mean, he handled that shit perfect. I couldn't have done better than that and right back onto it.
On one of its essential components.
Like nothing happened.
A credible pathway to a Palestinian state with ironclad security guarantees for Israel. But on October 7th, Hamas attacked Israel, unleashing the deadliest days for Jews since the Holocaust. Hamas killed more than 1,200 men, women, and children, torturing, maiming, sexually assaulting many of its victims. The overwhelming majority of Hamas's victims were civilians. They included citizens from more than 30 countries, among them 46 Americans. Hamas also took more than
I believe that shit, especially with what was just said. Oh, yeah.
30 children and 12 Americans.
All of you guys are going to feel it now.
7 of those Americans.
Redneck side, motorcycle whips. Shout out to my man right there.
Now,
good morning.
The timing of Hamas's attack was no accident. Israel's growing integration in the region, the prospect of normalization with Saudi Arabia, posed an existential threat to Hamas's power, its ambitions to dominate the Palestinian political landscape, its raison d'etre, which is the rejection of two states and the destruction of Israel. As notes recovered from meetings of Hamas's top officials would later reveal, Hamas sought to spark a regional war that would derail this agreement. knowing that doing so would inflict immense suffering on civilians on all sides, including the Palestinian people.
Oh, that's great to hear. She doing okay?
In the wake of the attack, President Biden made clear the United States' unwavering commitment to help Israel defend itself and prevent another October 7th. He asserted his determination to avert a broader regional conflict with all the deaths and destruction that would bring. He took immediate steps to deter further aggression and prevent the conflict from spreading, deploying 2 of our largest aircraft carrier battle groups, fighter jets.
Yep, you're 100% right. Yeah. Couldn't have said it, you know. It's true.
Warships.
There's narratives on both sides here.
And troops to the region. And he pledged unrelenting efforts to secure the release of the hostages. He became the first U.S. president to travel to Israel in wartime, telling the Israeli people directly, "You are not alone." He reminded Israel that while the country had a right, indeed an obligation, to defend itself, how it did so mattered. It was imperative to protect civilians and provide them with humanitarian assistance. These are the goals that I've worked to advance over a dozen trips to the region since October 7th.
Another one? No way!
Oh shit! Oh shit!
They must have a whole ass protest outside.
Thousands and thousands and thousands. How do you break American law? How do you do all that and then sit here and tell these people, civilized people, that you are doing what? Kill, your policy from the Middle East. Kill, and kill, and kill, just like the Israelis say. You're a brutal war criminal. We sat in front of your house for a year. You have no compassion. You are a monster.
All of this.
Right back to it.
Of
oh shit!
An all-of administration effort, led by President Biden, including Jake Sullivan, Bill Burns, Lloyd Austin, Brett McGurk, Amos Hochstein, Barbara Leaf, and our diplomats across the region and around the globe.
That's true, Steve.
Now, more than 15 months later, Hamas's military and governance capacity has been decimated, and the masterminds behind the attack have been killed. Tehran is on its back foot. Its 2 missile attacks on Israel were thwarted by a coalition of regional partners that we assembled. Israel's response, which we played a central role in shaping, demolished Iran's air defenses, left Tehran's most sensitive military sites exposed and vulnerable, and sent a clear message of deterrence, while at the same time,
I can't believe he just picks up like nothing fucking happened.
Hezbollah,
he does a good job at that.
Is a shadow of its former self.
That's a fucking politician right there that can do shit like that.
Terrorist infrastructure of tunnels and weapons manufacturing ravaged. In Lebanon, Hezbollah's battered forces have retreated north of the Litani River as part of a U.S. brokered ceasefire agreement. After Iran spent decades pouring billions of dollars into propping up Assad's murderous machinery, the Assad regime has fallen, and Tehran has retreated from Syria. None of Assad's patrons, not Iran, not Russia, not Hezbollah, were in a position to save him this time. All were bogged down in crises of their own making.
No, it's more fun for them to get on camera somehow, especially like TikTok, Instagram, you know, places like that. Yeah, they love shit like that, especially TikTok. Like, Instagram is not so bad with that shit. It is bad, but not as bad as TikTok. TikTok is unreal. Yeah, this is what these people do. They just want to get a little clippable moment, you know?
Which the United States effectively exacerbated. Iran has lost its overland supply route to Hezbollah.
I don't like that shit either. He's always done that. He's always done that.
Including illegal chemical weapons, have been destroyed by Israel. It's not just what we achieved, but also what we prevented. When I traveled across the region the days after October 7th, I heard from partners a palpable sense of alarm that regional war was coming.
It's actually impressive.
A combination of American diplomatic and military action and assistance to preserve and strengthen Israel's deterrent helped prevent that from happening in the weeks after October 7th and at multiple charged moments since. America's allies and partners, particularly in the Middle East, have taken note of who they can rely on to stand by their friends and who they cannot. Which powers work to diffuse crises and which powers stand back and do nothing or make problems worse. The balance of power in the Middle East is shifting dramatically and not in the way Hamas and its backers hoped or planned. And yet, the region remains rife with risk From Syria's fragile political transition to Iran's desperation to restore its deterrence with all that could imply for its nuclear ambitions, to the Houthis' ongoing attacks on Israel and international shipping.
Yeah, Steve, by the way, yep. Thumbs up on that. 100%. If you didn't vote, I don't want to hear shit.
To a dearth of opportunity, the repression of dissent and human rights in several countries. What's more, while the strategic gains made over the last 15 months are real, they have come at tremendous and excruciating costs. For the families of the kibbutzim, the concert goers, the children, the soldiers killed on October 7th attack, unfathomable grief persists. For those with loved ones and friends still being held hostage, every day brings more anguish from...
Yep, it would be, you know, if they just came in and they just started throwing actual facts, you know, like I would respect that way more than that whole bit that we just saw twice. Now, we saw that twice. Are we going to have a bet, anybody? Are we going to have a third protester during this briefing? What do you guys think? Third, fourth, fifth? How many people do you think we're going to have screaming?
Not knowing if their loved ones are suffering or even alive. The ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza has inflicted immeasurable suffering on Palestinian civilians, children, women, men, trapped in a conflict they did not start and are powerless to stop. Tens of thousands of people killed in Gaza. Nearly the entire population has lost a loved one.
Well, I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to you, Steve. It is actually impossible to become a president now, in current times, without the support of Israel. I know that sounds fucking crazy, but it's fucking absolutely true. Isn't that crazy? It's just the way it is.
Is enduring hunger. Nearly the entire population, some 2 million people, has been displaced, many multiple times. Most have no home to go to.
Yes, sir, Bob. I get it.
Damaged or destroyed. Gaza is one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a child, to be a civilian, to be a journalist. And as always happens in conflicts, the more people suffer, the less they feel empathy for the suffering of those on the other side. Throughout the Arab and Muslim worlds, large majorities believe that October 7th didn't happen, or if it did, that it was a legitimate attack on Israel's military. In Israel, there is almost no reporting on the conditions in Gaza and what people there endure every day. This dehumanization is one of the greatest tragedies of the conflict.
I agree.
Cardinal Martini once spoke of our need to be able to experience shared sorrow. It helps us salvage from moments of loss and despair a sense of common humanity. Without it...
Oh, what's up, AU? Good morning, my man. I'm sorry, I'm super tuned in.
And eventually, coexistence. For the United States, a country with unique global engagements and responsibilities, conflict has put our personnel, our facilities, our assets...
Yeah, and exactly, Emerald. Exactly what I've been saying. If you don't... This is what happens when you vote in terroristic organizations to run your people. You get those same terrorists selling a cigarette back to their own people. One cigarette, $10 a piece. Not the pack. One cigarette. Say they jack their own fucking food and then sell it back to them on some insane scale. That's what happens when you elect, by the way. Yeah, Emerald. That's what happens when you elect terrorist organizations. You would think they'd learn.
Stretched our force posture, stockpiles, and readiness.
No, that's Roberto. That's Robert.
Exploiting the crisis in Gaza,
straight jacket, not me.
And foment anti-American sentiment. Autocrats have cynically used the conflict to justify their aggression and atrocities, and to advance their efforts to challenge the international rules and principles that safeguard American interests and values. And of course, it's divided our communities.
Of course.
College campuses to houses of worship.
Oh, especially college campuses. He just said that. That's the number one. That is the number one race right there is the college campuses. It's so weird. It's our youth. As they come up.
Especially the human cost.
Yo, brother Goldbar up in the building. Good morning, kind sir.
Strategic gains of the last 15 months endure, and lay the foundation for a better future. All too often in the Middle East, we've seen how the shoes of one dictator can be filled by another, or give way to conflict and chaos. How a nation can expel one outside power only to see another take its place. How stamping out one terrorist group can spawn even more lethal successors. So our imperative is not to turn back the clock to the way things were before October 7th. It's to forge a new reality for the Middle East in which all people are more secure, all can realize their national aspirations, all can live in peace. Is that hard to achieve? Yes. Peace in the region always
Here goes a third. Shit.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
150 days, Israel has committed genocide against the Palestinian people. We have sent over $25 billion to Israel in the past year. That's $70 of all of our money. $70.
They're all fucking paid. They're all paid to be there. Insane. I can tell.
You lied on May 10th to Congress. You lied. ProPublica looked it up. May 10th.
That's so crazy. Totally employed. Back to this.
Is it hard? Yes.
Yep, we just watched it.
Is it impossible? No. Is it necessary? Absolutely yes. And that's why we pursued 3 interrelated diplomatic goals: brokering an enduring solution to the Israel-Hezbollah conflict, ending the war in Gaza, normalizing relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which will provide Palestinians and Israelis with the incentives and reassurances that they need to achieve their long-sought national aspirations. Israel has lived for far too long with an unsustainable situation in its northern border. Hezbollah, a terrorist organization whose stated goals include the destruction of Israel, controlled large swaths of Lebanon's territory, including lands south of the Litani River, in violation of the UN resolution that ended the last war between Israel and Hezbollah. Land Hezbollah used, with Iran's support, to train fighters, to stockpile arms, to build weapons and tunnels, to carry out deadly attacks on Israel. Starting on October 7th, Hezbollah launched thousands
What's
of
up
missiles
from
into Israeli
Bumbly?
communities
What's
without
up? Good morning.
provocation, pledging to continue its attacks until Israel ended its military operation in Gaza. Hezbollah's aggression has come at grave cost for Israelis and Lebanese people alike. Some 70,000 Israelis have been forced from their homes.
Listen, organized insanity. You know what I'm for? What I'm for? I'm for defunding and disbanding all 3-letter agencies in the United States. I'm all for defunding the UN, NATO, and the EU 2025. I'm sorry, I'm an isolationist. I really only give a fuck about Americans. We should not be sending any of our money, resources, anywhere. We got keep our shit here. What the fuck, man? Shit.
Border. In Lebanon, thousands have been killed, a quarter of Lebanon's population displaced. Our goal in seeking a cessation of hostilities was not merely to pause the fighting and avert a broader regional war. Rather, we aim to prevent Hezbollah.
Sorry, Wolf. I love you, my Swedish brother, my Sweden brother. Man, our money should not be going overseas. I'm just saying.
In a way that can threaten Israel or continue to hold the Lebanese state and the Lebanese people hostage. And we wanted to create conditions allowing displaced Israeli and Lebanese families to return safely to their homes. The arrangement that we brokered together with France meets those benchmarks. It empowers the government of Lebanon to retake control of its territory. It provides Lebanon's economy and security forces with much needed aid and support. It preserves Israel's right to defend itself in accordance with international law. It achieves Israel's aim of delinking hostilities on its northern front from the war in Gaza.
Oh yeah, no. Paid protesters, man, they're advertised everywhere on the internet. Absolutely. That's an absolute thing that people fucking do in politics. Absolutely. That's probably been a thing. Since the conception of politics. You know what I mean? That shit has probably been since conception. People are like, no, there's no way no one would do that. No, what are you talking about? Absolutely. Put on an act in front of the people, get people, that's propaganda. Come on, man.
Just since the deal was signed, Israeli forces have started to withdraw from southern Lebanon. The Lebanese military is deployed in their place to ensure that terrorist infrastructure is removed and Hezbollah does not return. The U.S. and France are working hour by hour to monitor the agreement and to address violations. And now, just 6 weeks after the deal, Lebanon's parliament voted overwhelmingly to elect a new president, the first time the country has had a national leader in more than 2 years. Just yesterday, it elected a new prime minister. Both are important steps to becoming a secure, successful.
Oh my goodness. Can you guys over there fix your fucking audio on the mainstream media? It's really frustrating when funded mainstream media companies start having real bad tech issues, whether that be fucking video feed, and the one that gets me the most, because I actually understand that, but when it comes down to the fucking audio, it's like, how does this little tiny YouTuber here that is not funded by any organization at all, I have the support of you guys, and I've got better audio than the mainstream media. How the fuck does that kind of shit happen?
Stupid. Nation and to meeting the needs of the Lebanese people. Second, we sought to end the war in Gaza in a way that will lay the foundation for enduring peace, as well as to advance the legitimate aspirations of Israelis for lasting security and Palestinians for an independent, viable state of their own. 1 month into the conflict, at a meeting of G7 foreign ministers in Tokyo, I outlined principles that the United States saw as essential to achieving these goals. The principles included a Gaza never again ruled by Hamas or used as a platform for terrorism or other violent attacks. New Palestinian-led governance, with Gaza united with the West Bank under the Palestinian Authority. No Israeli military occupation of Gaza or reduction of Gaza's territory. No attempt after the conflict to besiege or block it. And no forcible displacement of Gaza's population. These principles also called for establishing a sustained mechanism for Gaza's recovery and reconstruction.
That's true, Steve.
A pathway toward Israelis and Palestinians living side by side in states of
their own. DEI hiring. Yeah, facts. Good morning, kind sir, Evil Rick.
Freedom, opportunity, and dignity. Now,
hey, real quick. We got to do a little quick halt to the show because I've been quiet. I've been sitting here nice and quiet. I really try to allow, them to speak and me not interject every 2 seconds. I really try. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube. It helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. I don't ask you guys to send in $1 to the show, but what I do ask is you guys to hit that like button. It's free and helps us out immensely over here. So I very much appreciate you guys. If you guys are brand new to the show, man, hit that subscribe button. We cover, world news, geopolitics, and the wars going on around the world every day, Monday through Saturday, with the exception of Sunday. I have my 1 day off. But Saturday's members only live streams for you guys every single Saturday morning.
And our partners recognize that we wouldn't be able to achieve these goals overnight. The first step, we have long believed, is to achieve an initial ceasefire, 6 weeks, during which Israel and Hamas stop firing, Israeli forces pull back, hostages start to come home, Palestinian prisoners are released, humanitarian assistance surges into Gaza. It will also create space for finalizing a day-after plan.
Yeah, no kidding.
To allow the full withdrawal of Israeli forces, to make the ceasefire permanent, and to bring the remaining hostages home. Once we assessed that Israel had achieved its main objective in Gaza of ensuring that Hamas was incapable of carrying out another October 7th,
thank you, Carol. Good morning to you.
Publicly set out his detailed ceasefire plan. We went around the world building support for the proposal. The UN Security Council swiftly adopted a resolution supporting it, with 14 members voting for it, not a single member voting against it. The Arab League, countries in the region and beyond, all affirmed their support. Hamas, the lone holdout, but now thoroughly isolated, finally accepted President Biden's framework. In the time since, we've worked relentlessly with Qatar and Egypt to negotiate the details of the agreement and its implementation.
Man, Steve, you know what? Maybe I'll do that shit tonight. That sounds like a good time, And I got lots of shit that I can show you guys that I haven't been able to show, So, yeah, let's do something like that. We'll make it happen.
Now, at different moments, different parties have made it hard to finalize an agreement.
Oh, shit, Martin.
Derailed its completion. For the past several months, Hamas has played the spoiler. But over the past several weeks, our intensive efforts have brought us to the brink of full and final agreement. On Sunday, the United States...
Yo, we got Charlotte up in the building. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're having a wonderful morning so far. I know that we are. We got a big topic going on right now, so...
In Egypt, put forward
big conference. Not press conference, big conference.
Now in Hamas's court. If Hamas accepts, the deal is ready to be concluded and implemented. I believe we will get a ceasefire. And whether we get there in the remaining days of our administration or after January 20th...
You had nothing to do with this, homie. It had all to do with fucking Trump speaking at Mar-a-Lago saying, if I get into office and there has not been a deal made, and our hostages returned, all hell will break loose. It was on his pre-inauguration fucking speech. Yeah, motherfuckers, has nothing to do with your administration. I love how they take fucking credit for this shit, though. You know they're going to.
I believe the deal will follow closely the terms of the agreement that President Biden put forward last May and our administration.
Exactly. I was just saying that, Steve.
Now, from the outset, we also recognized that we couldn't afford to wait until a ceasefire to plan for what would follow it. For many months, we've been working intensively with our partners to develop a detailed post-conflict plan that would allow Israel to fully withdraw from Gaza, prevent Hamas from filling back in, and provide for Gaza's governance, security, and reconstruction, drawing on the principles that I originally set out in Tokyo. We will hand off that plan to the Trump administration to carry forward. But let me share a few of its core elements this morning. We believe that the Palestinian Authority should invite international partners to help establish and run an interim administration with responsibility for key civil sectors in Gaza, like banking, water,
Brother
energy,
Todd
health,
J, my man, good morning.
Coordination with Israel. The international community would provide funding, technical support, and oversight. The interim administration would include Palestinians from Gaza and representatives from the PA, selected following meaningful consultation with communities in Gaza, and would hand over complete responsibility to a fully reformed PA administration as soon as it's feasible. The administrators would operate in close cooperation with a senior UN official who should oversee the international stabilization and recovery effort. An interim security mission would be made up of members of partner nation security forces and vetted Palestinian personnel.
Fuck that worksheet, by the way, Glare. Let me speak to your boss. I'll speak to him. This is an hour and a half that your boss should always grant to be able to do nothing and only watch the show. I expect that. I'm going to talk to your boss.
Its responsibilities would include creating a secure environment for humanitarian and reconstruction efforts and ensuring border security, which is crucial to preventing smuggling that could allow Hamas to rebuild its military capacity.
Yeah, no kidding, Evil.
We would stand up a new initiative to train, to equip, to vet a PA-led security force for Gaza to focus on law and order and gradually take over for the interim security mission. These arrangements would be enshrined in a UN Security Council resolution. Some of our partners have already expressed their willingness to contribute troops and police for such a mission. But if, and only if, it is agreed that Gaza and the West Bank are reunified under a reformed PA as part of a pathway to an independent Palestinian state. And therein lies the rub. Reaching agreement will require all parties to summon the political will, to make hard decisions, to make hard compromises. Key regional and international actors will need to fully commit to supporting Palestinian-led governance and preventing Hamas's return. The PA will need to carry out swift, far-reaching reform to build more transparent, accountable governance, continuing a process that it began last year. Israel will have to accept reuniting Gaza and the West Bank under the leadership of a reformed PA. And all must embrace a time-bound, conditions-based path toward forming an independent Palestinian state. These principles are mutually reinforcing.
That's an oxymoron.
Time-bound because no one will believe or accept an endless process. Palestinians need and deserve a clear and near horizon for political self-determination. Conditions-based because while Palestinians have a right to self-determination,
what's buzz your shit mean?
With that right comes responsibility. No one should expect Israel to accept a Palestinian state.
Be safe out there, VT.
Or other extremists. that's militarized or has independent armed militia, that aligns with Iran or others who reject Israel's right to exist, that educates and preaches rejectionism, or that unreformed
shit wouldn't be the first. Wouldn't be the first, Steve.
Becomes a failed state. Israelis must decide what relationship they want with the Palestinians. That cannot be the illusion that Palestinians will accept being a non-people without national rights. 7 million Israeli Jews and some 5 million
You know what we need?
are rooted in the same land. Neither is going anywhere. Israelis must abandon the myth that they can carry out de facto annexation without cost and consequence to Israel's democracy, to its standing, to its security. Accepting a time-bound conditions-based approach for Palestinian statehood will provide the political horizon that regional and international actors need to contribute the security forces and financial support necessary to help new Palestinian leaders govern, secure, and rebuild Gaza. Some in Israel argue that accepting a political horizon for the Palestinians would reward Hamas for October 7th. In fact, Hamas has tried to kill the idea of two states for decades. It hoped to destroy the Oslo Accords with relentless suicide bombs. It sought to strangle the Arab Peace Initiative by launching the horrific Passover attacks. Far from rewarding Hamas.
Yeah, you know what, Martin? It's always best if you can keep it away from work. Just because people will use any reason to fire you for any reason. You know what I mean? Like, they're not looking for reasons to keep you. Sadly.
Accepting a political horizon would be the ultimate rebuke to its nihilistic agenda of death and destruction. We sincerely hope the parties will be prepared to make tough choices going forward. And yet, the unimpeachable reality is that
unimpeachable.
Up to this point, they've either failed to make these difficult decisions or acted in ways that put a deal and long-term peace further from reach. Israel's government has systematically undermined the capacity and legitimacy of the only viable alternative to Hamas, the Palestinian Authority. Consider funding.
Excuse me.
Israel continues to hold back PA tax revenues that it
nope,
collects on
not frozen on my side.
Funds that belong to the Palestinians and that the PA needs to pay people who provide essential services like healthcare and security in the West Bank, which is vital to Israel's own security. Just this week, U.S. engagement led Israel to agree to unlock hundreds of millions of dollars in PA tax revenues, a welcome step. But these funds never should have been withheld in the first place.
Yeah, right.
And Israel continues to hold more than $500 million in tax revenues that the PA urgently needs, and the Palestinians are entitled to. In the West Bank, Israel is expanding official settlements and nationalizing land at a faster clip than any time in the last decade, while turning a blind
hey man, I'll take that as a compliment.
Unprecedented growth in illegal outposts. Violent attacks by
absolutely
against Palestinian civilians have reached record levels. We've long made the point to the Israeli government that Hamas cannot be defeated by a military campaign alone, that without a clear alternative, a post-conflict plan.
Absolute facts. Absolute facts. Hardwire says, stop the cap, he means. Drop the cap. I like that. That's not shit, Mike. Any reason to let you go and hire a new minimum wager with no benefits? Yep. We'll give you 39 and a half hours so you can work part-time. We can give you absolutely nothing in benefits. Yeah. No, you know, it goes both ways here. We got Chris Lestrange, man. Heavy days. That's facts. Facts, by the way. And you've missed just some rambling so far. I mean, Blinken is trying to fancy his way into making this seem like it was his administration. That's why he's staying so ultra professional in this. He's practiced this speech. You can definitely tell what the ordeal is. He's a professional politician. That's for damn sure. He's already had 3 protesters start screaming at him, and he acted like that was absolutely nothing. The smallest thing he's ever seen in his life. Like Papa Penguin said. When you deal with some real politics in DC, you know when like you got paid protesters, you know when you have like shit, like you know these things. And I guarantee you this is like nothing compared to what he's actually dealt with.
And a credible political horizon for the Palestinians, Hamas, or something just as abhorrent and dangerous, will grow back. That's exactly what's happened in northern Gaza since October 7th.
That's crazy, Charles.
Military operations and pulls
hey,
back.
You would never have to do that ever for 13 hours straight on some other panel, show. But with me, of course.
Hamas militants regroup and reemerge because there's nothing else to fill the void. Indeed, we assess that Hamas has recruited almost as many new militants as it has lost. That is a recipe for an enduring insurgency and perpetual war.
Hey, I agree, Steve. You hear me that I'm brutal on both sides of the equation, especially when we're talking about like men and women, the inner dynamics of men and women and shit like that. And I really mean this as men have fallen in a lot of aspects. I'm not just talking with a relationship. I'm talking about like men in general doing men shit. Yeah, the truth is I wouldn't invest in people either. There are people that are, gems in the rough, and there are those people that are stellar. You have those people, and you're going to always have those people. But it's sad that, unfortunately, most people are pieces of shit. They're human fucking garbage. I'm just being honest. I know I said it. I know it's a hot take, but listen, it's true though. Most people fucking suck. And men are supposed to be the good example in a lot of these aspects. And yet now everyone, you have your truth. This is what happens when you teach your kids that they've got their truth. No, there is no their truth. It's the truth. Whether you like it or fucking not, you're going to have to learn how to deal with some adversity in your fucking life. Jesus Christ.
The longer the war goes on, the worse the humanitarian situation gets in Gaza.
Shit. Wolf, I'm coming in hot, by the way, saying some more support from the Breakfast Club, man. Hey, thank you so much, kind sir. I very much appreciate you. I appreciate you more than you understand. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of shit helps out the show immensely. So thank you, kind sir.
Israel faces uniquely challenging circumstances in Gaza. A civilian population trapped there, with Hamas hiding in and under homes, hospitals, schools, and mosques. Indeed, Hamas has cynically weaponized the suffering of Palestinians. In a message that Yahya Sinwar, Hamas's military leader at the time, sent to mediators, he called the death of Palestinian civilians, and I quote, necessary sacrifices, and said the more innocent Palestinians were killed, the more Hamas would benefit. These profound challenges notwithstanding, Israel's efforts have fallen far short of meeting the colossal scale of need in Gaza. We've been clear publicly and privately that there are steps Israel could take to transform the humanitarian situation.
Real quick, make sure you guys hit that like button. That's all I ask. Appreciate you guys.
Gaza, and ensure that critical aid reaches all Palestinians in need. Those include restarting the flow of commercial goods, undertaking pauses in military operations, as it did during the successful polio vaccination campaign.
Oh yeah, he's practiced this.
Specific corridors for the flow of aid.
He knew that this is his very last statement that he's going to be giving. And this has been recognized in at the top of this video, at the top of this live stream, that this was going to be his last ordeal, his speech, whatever. So he's really laying it on thick.
To storage and distribution sites. The suffering of civilians in Gaza is a tragedy in its own right. It's also isolated Israel internationally and imperiled its targeted strides toward building relationships in the region.
Nomenclature in politics is one of the most important things, is understanding what words to use. I mean, you're making money not only for you, but for your party, your state, whatever you're doing, the government, whatever. They know who fucking can make, and select that proper nomenclature, proper vocabulary. It's very interesting. It's very true because nothing is off the cuff. All this shit, like, that's why I don't think that I could really, really become that top level politician, because I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I can, of course, read a script, you know, but the thing is the truth is I'm really somebody that is off the cuff in the sense of like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to have my notes and whatever I'm going to have for when I'm speaking and stuff, but like bullet points, you know, for me, I don't need, you know, every single fucking word and I need to say exact like that. There's no way. I don't have the capacity to even do that shit. You know what I mean? You know, so this is why I don't think that in politics that I would get to that next level because I can't do that. I just don't think I have the actual brain capacity to do it.
The longer the humanitarian crisis in Gaza goes on, the more Arab countries that recently normalized relations with Israel will face pressure from their populations to walk away. And the greater the risk that Israel's long-standing peace accords with
exactly, Emerald. Yep.
Will collapse.
Yep, 100%.
The ballast that these partnerships provide for Israel and the region, easy to take for granted, especially for generations who only know a world where these nations are at peace.
No,
but
they are puppets.
Would unleash even greater instability.
They are puppets, and we do it right in front of everybody. All the lobbyists, that's all fucking puppeteer shit. Like, yo, I'm going to pay you X amount of money for you to fucking sign this shit. I'm going to have, you know, like, you're going to be our vote. So they go out there and they fucking puppeteer. It's crazy. They are puppets. Absolutely. It's crazy.
And be incredibly hard to repair. Remaining bogged down in Gaza will harm Israel economically. Already,
yes.
Foreign direct investment and Israel's credit rating.
One wrong word. You're right about that, Papa Penguin.
Extended mobilization
Facts.
of reservists.
I just don't have that capacity.
Of businesses and private sector productivity. For its part, the Palestinian Authority repeatedly failed to undertake long overdue reforms, like reining in corruption and a bloated bureaucracy, further eroding its support among Palestinians. The PA's refusal to consistently and unequivocally condemn Hamas in the killings of October 7th only entrenched doubts among Israelis that the two communities can ever live side by side in peace, as have the PA's payments to the families of terrorists and the anti-Semitic remarks of its leader. Many partners in the region and beyond have also been unwilling to publicly condemn Hamas. Amidst the chorus of condemnation of Israel, the silence about Hamas has been deafening. Where was the sustained and united demand?
We're going to hear another
Hamas to release hostages?
Are we going to hear another? Because this would be perfect timing for another protester
to put down its arms. Where was the urgent effort to crack down on the financing, the arms, the materials that Hamas employs to deadly effect? Where was the opprobrium for Hamas's heinous practice of hiding among civilians? Had countries around the world applied this collective pressure, Hamas's leaders might have been forced to make different decisions many months ago, and massive suffering might have been
I'm waiting
averted.
for it.
Hamas especially has often chosen to sit back and wait, believing that the more time passed, the more Palestinians in Gaza suffered, the greater the chances that Iran, Hezbollah, and others would feel forced to attack Israel, sparking a wider war, the more international pressure would mount on Israel to unconditionally end its military operation, the greater the likelihood a rift would open between Israel and the United States. For its part, Israel has pursued its military campaign past the point of destroying Hamas's military capacity and killing the leaders responsible for October 7th, convinced that unrelenting military pressure was required to get Hamas to accept a ceasefire and hostage deal on Israel's terms.
He is trying to paint an entire ass picture like his administration just fucking did this. That they made this shit happen. And they're gonna take fucking ownership of it. You know what I mean? So that's what they're doing right now.
And Israel has held firm to the belief that any deviation from its intensive military effort would be interpreted by Hamas as a sign of weakness or declining will. Some have questioned whether a different policy and approach would have changed this dynamic. Whether we put too much pressure
Speaking
on
of, I need another beer.
Or not enough. We have debated these questions vigorously within the administration.
Beer time.
Within the
One
State
sec.
Department, where we benefited from a range of different views. Some believe by privately and publicly seeking to restrain and reshape Israel's military operations, we held it back from inflicting even greater damage on Iran, on Hamas, on Hezbollah, on other adversaries. Others believe we enabled the Israeli government to pursue a military campaign that was disproportionate, self-defeating, and counter to U.S. interests. It is crucial to ask questions like these, which will be studied for years to come. I wish I could stand here today and tell you with certainty that we got every decision right. I cannot. I wish I could tell you that leaders in the region always put their people's interests ahead of their own interests. They did not. But
cheers.
What I can tell you is this. First, we continue to believe the best way to create a more stable, secure, and prosperous Middle East and deal a lasting blow to Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the entire so-called axis of resistance
100%, Carol.
is through forging a more integrated region. And the key to achieving that integration.
You know, I've never actually had one, believe it or not. I may have had a few, like, just in passing, but I don't even remember. I don't remember drinking them like that, like going, like, oh yeah, I like this. You know, I'm, you know, it's too funny. I love these fucking ultras. I don't know why. Like, believe it or not, especially beer that's like ales and just any dark beers. I hate that shit. You know what I mean? I hate that shit. This is about as beer as I can really fucking do, honestly, because I don't like beer like that. I'm not someone that is like a beer connoisseur. I'd rather have a mixed drink. You know what I mean? I like Makers and Coke. I like Jack and Coke. I like shit like that. When it comes to, you know, I like ciders better and shit. Like, I know that sounds gay as fuck, but it is what it is. I like that shit. It tastes good. I like drinking shit that tastes good. You know, crazy concept. I know.
Is ending this conflict in a way that realizes the long-standing aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians to live with peace and security in states of their own. Second, as much influence as the United States wields in the Middle East, we can't dictate outcomes. In the end, whether the region takes the path toward greater integration will ultimately come down not to us, but to the decisions of its leaders and the decisions of its people.
Damn cat.
Finally,
come on,
we
man.
stand here today with a historic window of opportunity still open. While seizing it cannot bring back the innocent Israeli and Palestinian lives lost, it will prevent more lives from being taken. It will break the cycle of violence and bloodshed. We must not squander this chance. Israel's most deep-rooted desire from its founding has been to be accepted and treated as a normal state in the region and the world, with all the rights and responsibilities that implies. At the same time, in Israeli hearts and minds lies the conviction that past efforts at
I just hate that bitter taste, Papa Penguin. I just hate that, like, I don't know, man. It doesn't agree with my stomach either. Like, that shit is whack. But I will try it.
Rejection, violent resistance, greater insecurity, with Camp David leading to the Second Intifada, the unilateral withdrawals from Lebanon and Gaza, leading to Hezbollah and to Hamas. In the wake of October 7th, convincing Israelis otherwise will be a necessary and major undertaking. The prospect of normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia represents the best opportunity to achieve the long-sought goal of Israel's greater integration in the region. And it's also the best incentive to get the parties to make tough decisions necessary to fully realize the aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians.
Damn terrorist in this house.
That has held back progress up to this point. Much of the heavy lifting for normalization is complete, including negotiations on complex U.S.-Saudi elements.
Oh, you can't see that way.
Agreement. These elements include a strategic alliance agreement that establishes Saudi Arabia as a treaty ally of the United States, a defense cooperation agreement that enhances military coordination.
Yeah, I can't drink that IPA shit. I can't. I don't like any of that shit.
Builds integrated capabilities. An energy agreement that includes civil nuclear cooperation, and an economic agreement to bolster bilateral trade and investment. For both sides, October 7th has raised the stakes of the normalization deal. For Saudi Arabia, advancing efforts to realize Palestinian self-determination was always a key component. But now, the need to end the war in Gaza and for a credible road to Palestinian statehood is all the more urgent for Riyadh. For Israel, October 7th and its aftermath have underscored that a more integrated region and security architecture.
Man, he fucking got this whole speech memorized. He practiced this shit for 4 years. Guaranteed. Holy shit.
To address threats to its security and isolate its enemies. That is
He's been practicing, especially on this tail end of since, you know, because it's tacked in, you know, at October 7th happened. He started scripting October fucking 8th.
Exactly what we saw in April and again in October when, with U.S. leadership,
he definitely does, Papa.
Came together
100%.
in an unprecidented way to help defend Israel against
I would need that too, obviously.
Direct missile attacks. It also speaks to what the world could do to put Iran's nuclear program back in a box and ensure that Tehran never has a nuclear weapon. In 2021, a team of documentary filmmakers traveled around Gaza asking children a simple question: what is your dream? Many of the kids they interviewed looked to be 5 or 6 years old, about the same age as my own kids. A little girl dreamed of becoming a doctor.
Yep, 100%, Glare. It all fucking changes in 6 days now, right? Yeah, 6
Why?
days.
The interviewer asked.
Shit.
To treat people in war, she said. A boy dreamed of becoming a pilot so that he could fly people out of the place where they were, so they could see the world, so they could be happy. A girl dreamed of being an engineer so she could help rebuild homes that had been destroyed. A boy said his dream was to see the country under my hands develop into a beautiful place. I know Israeli girls and boys have very similar dreams. They dream of no longer saying goodbye to older siblings and parents going off to war, of not spending nights in bomb shelters or getting onto a school bus that's attacked by terrorists. They dream of returning to homes that they fled, of making destroyed communities beautiful again. Another path is possible. We've seen it. A path toward greater greater opportunity. Toward
wrap it up, motherfucker.
With lasting security. I believe that because of the foundations we put in place, both before and after October 7th, that path is still open.
There always is a puppeteer. Always.
And I believe that if leaders make the difficult decisions to walk that path, they'll not only have America by their side, but a power that no adversary can match.
Are you serious, Claire?
Generations of young people determined to reject the idea that conflict is inevitable.
Oh yeah, he is, Carol. 100%.
And brave enough.
And you know what's funny is his party looks at him like he actually does better than, like, in the sense of the way that he speaks, the way that his mannerisms are, body language, stuff like that. All that shit, they think in his party, like, they look at that shit as exciting. You know, that's crazy. With us, we look at this shit as like, fuck, man, it's dry as fuck.
To embrace peaceful coexistence.
Welcome to politics.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much for listening. What, we have 0 questions? Oh, I'm sure there will be. Thank God he wrapped it up, though. Well, like, what else was there to talk about?
Secretary Blinken, thank you. That was
fine.
Speech. And I
now here goes this guy who was sucking up to Blinken. Oh my goodness, it was terrible. In the very beginning, when he was introducing Blinken out onto the stage, he was just sucking him off. It was gross.
Emotional damage.
So beware. We'll probably hear more just stroking cock over here.
He remembered as such, looking at everything from the future of Gaza to the future of the entire Middle East in a path. So we don't have much time, but I want to ask you a couple of questions that deals with what's in that speech. First of all, on the issue of Gaza, there were reports this morning that Hamas had accepted the ceasefire. I wonder if you can comment on that. And then in your conversations with Middle Eastern leaders, do you feel that the Middle East, and particularly the wealthier parts of the Middle East, are willing to step in to Gaza if they don't get a firm commitment to what you've just called for, which is a two-state solution from President Netanyahu? So
On the agreement, Fred, as I said, it's right on the brink. It's closer than it's ever been before, but right now, as
Hey,
we sit here,
Steve.
we await final word from.
Fuck it. At the end of this stream, which I'm not gonna sit here and let this go on for crazy too long. I'll play a song for you, homie.
Hamas,
that I have permission to play.
And until we get that word, we'll remain on the brink. That could come.
You're gonna be like, oh shit, homie.
Come in the days ahead. That's what we're looking for. But what we've done over the last weeks, and especially over the last days, has put it right there. And the deal is there. It's ready to be fully and finally accepted. It's ready to be implemented. But right now, we've got to wait to get a final word from Hamas. In terms of what other countries would do, look, we've been talking with partners around the region and beyond for many months, as I said, to make sure that we were prepared for when we finally got a ceasefire. And what's clear is that while, of course, there's an ongoing determination.
No, it's going to be the exact opposite on this one. It's going to be the exact opposite, man. Sorry about that, Wolfheim. I do warn the ears because some of our shit is a little rough. But Wolfheim, thank you so much for the $27 fucking Swedish. I love the Swedish money. I very much appreciate that, kind sir. And Brother Glare, be good out there. Be safe. Appreciate you as always.
And for the humanitarian needs of Palestinians who are caught in this horrific crossfire of Hamas is making. In terms of actually investing in the future of Gaza, in its reconstruction, in security, countries will be very reluctant, absent some kind of clear political horizon. Because in their view, and it's a view that I share, absent that, they're simply going to be investing in something that only is going to end up right back where it is now at some point in the future. So I think there's a very strong and widely held belief in the region and beyond that dealing with the threat posed by Hamas militarily may be necessary, but it's insufficient. And absent a political debate,
man, he just goes on and on.
What we're looking at ultimately is an enduring insurgency that will bleed and drain.
Yeah, you might have to cover your ears, Wolfheim.
War. So that is something that is essential to partners throughout the region.
What you talked about a little bit less in the speech was Iran and the pathway to
this is actually piques my interest. Anything to do with Iran? Anything regarding Iran piques my interest immediately. So this better be a fucking good question regarding Iran.
The future that you're painting, a lot depends on which way does Iran go. There have been all sorts of reports about discussions within the Biden administration about potentially even striking nuclear sites in Iran under certain conditions. Can you talk a little bit about what you think the situation is with Iran? How does one look at the nuclear sites? What advice are you going to give those that succeed you in the Trump administration?
Look, President Biden's been very clear. He was determined that Iran would not acquire a nuclear weapon on his watch, and it won't. Now, we had a big part of Iran's nuclear program in a box with the Iran nuclear deal. The deal was focused on Iran's fissile material capacity. And what that deal did was to ensure that Iran could not produce fissile material for a nuclear weapon in less than a year's time. And so we would have plenty of time to see it if it broke out of the agreement and did that. Unfortunately, in pulling out of the deal and not replacing it with anything, Iran's now at a point where it can produce fissile material for a nuclear weapon in a matter of a week or two. Now, it doesn't have the weapon itself. That's another part of the equation, but it's obviously in a much more dangerous place than it was when we had it boxed in with the nuclear agreement. So I think as Iran is looking at this, and as the incoming administration is looking at this, we'll have to see if there's actually an opportunity on the nuclear side to get another deal. President Trump at the time talked about getting a better, stronger deal from his perspective. Okay, let's see. Maybe there's an opportunity to do just that. If not, I know that there's a shared determination across administrations to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon one way or another. I happen to believe that doing this pursuant to a clear, strong, verifiable agreement is the best way to have something that lasts. But one way or another, there's a determination in the United States across political parties that Iran not get a weapon.
So a final question, and then I think we need to let you get back to the important work of bringing all this to a close if we can. The Atlantic Council is a place for dialogue. And what some of us heard today was unfortunate. We're not a bunch of screamers and shouters. We're people who try to argue out what's the right goal. But it doesn't surprise you or me that this region stirs up emotions. This path to the future, and let's not forget where Europe was up until 1945, before the European Union, before NATO, before all of that. You talked, I think, about Soviet normalization almost in that.
Why are we talking about yesterday? You know what I mean? Let's talk about tomorrow, today, motherfucker. Why are we referring to the past always?
Spirit. And some people have talked about a path of integration that could create economic integration in the Middle East, like the European Union, military integration, not NATO necessarily, but countries coming closer together. Are we closer to that now? Saudi normalization with Israel, the Abraham Accords leading to something a little bit more far-reaching of the sort that you talked about at the end of your speech? Are we further away from everything that's happened in the last couple of years?
Look, I believe we're much closer to it.
Yeah, I was just about to say he's going to 100% say, oh, yeah, we're way better.
What we've done over the past 4
what
years,
we've done.
building on the Abraham
Hey,
Accord.
you hear that nomenclature? Yeah, what we've done. Yeah. Cat, by the way.
Stop the cap.
You mean what Trump said in his pre-inauguration speech? Yeah. That's what happened.
It was to try to get to their ultimate realization, which is normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel. A lot of work went into that, including, as I described, agreements necessary between the United States and Saudi Arabia, as well as between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And as we sit here, it's ready to go. That could move forward tomorrow. But it requires two things. It requires an end to the conflict in Gaza, and it requires a credible pathway to a Palestinian state. So Israelis will have to decide if actually realizing a foundational dream, being integrated into the region, being treated like a normal country.
The way he's speaking right now.
Benefiting from being part of a security architecture that we saw in action when Iran attacked Israel, not once but twice, whether that is worth also the decisions necessary to finally resolve their relationship with the Palestinians.
Yeah, Turkey is a huge double dipper right there. You're right about that. Yeah. And the truth be told, I'm not even worried about that bullshit right now. I'm worried about the United States using Syria as a money laundering spot, the next Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm fucking worried about.
Decision that only they can make. And of course, as I described, especially given the history, especially given October 7th, the realization of Palestinian statehood, which is a necessary imperative, has to come with ironclad security guarantees with Israel. But that's the choice. That's the choice.
You know what? That is enough. That is enough. We've heard plenty. All that's going to happen there is they're just going to allow him to ramble on a little bit longer, and then they're just going to close out. Everything that happened that we needed to see, we saw. So, on the very end here, we're going to go ahead and play one of my buddy's music videos that dropped recently. This is a homie of mine. So listen, man, I have permission to go ahead and do this shit. We're going to go ahead and talk about it, or not talk about it. We're just going to bang out to it, you know? Anyways, so let me know what you guys think in the comments, and let me know what you guys think about this shit. Now, this is some next level shit. If you guys, you know, have any kids or anything around, make sure that you put on some headphones or something. You know what I mean? Anyways, disclaimer has been put out there.
Yeah. Lay them boy to bed, straight up off the head. Yeah, bitch, you heard what I just said. Stacking checks until I'm filthy rich. This hustler's ambition. My little bitch be chefing shrimp and grits. She whipping in the kitchen. Got a glizzy in my bridges with the infrared. Catch you fucking with my chicken. Put this blicky to your head. Pulling walk, I'm off the red. On my eyes are dead. I go psych out on them boys like I forgot to pop my meds. Fuck them feds investigations. We got infrareds and lasers. 2, 2, 3, 5, 5, 6 is like we making math equations. Grinding straight from out the basement. Finally reached my destination. Used to never have my way. Now I pop out, I need my payment. Minimum wages hit a million plays, I'm getting unlimited paper. I self-made you dirty bitches crazy, think I'm giving favors. I kill a beat, get a body bag. Big LV got a lot of stacks. Still a mask up all black and go cut them down like I'm Johnny Cash. They mad cause I came off fast, boy I'm on their ass. Talking bad, let that chopper blast off a lot of mag. Killer L, I've been through living hell. Pop my shit off the Richter scale. I go hard in the pain, I feel like I'm that boy from Riverdale. Flights and taking business trips, steady stacking my dividends. You ain't talking crispy blue strips, then I isn't listening. I'm flexing about my fitness, brand new Cartier lenses. I told them call in forensics, I'm killing the competition. I'm back and I'm with a vengeance. Had to show them it's mine. I had to go stack them digits, they mad that I'm on my grind. Mad my rest is immaculate, paper stacking, I'm having shit figured. I did gymnastics the way I'm flipping these packages. Let's get it cracking, what's happening? They never catching me lacking. They know I'm back in my bag, I'm the hardest cracker. This I can't even sleep, I can't even roll in peace. Everywhere I go, they notice. Everywhere I go, I keep that pole with me. The shawty wanna roll with me. She know that we rolling deep. She gon' bust it open, let me stroke it. She don't go for me. Yeah.
Yes,
Big
sir.
Baby, the biggest. Yeah, one take freestyle, bitch. I did that.
Yes, sir.
That crack is snapping. Oh yeah, make it happen. Okay, I get it. Like camera action.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about right there. We did that for Brother Steve Easy up in the chat. So listen, man, I can't thank you guys enough for the love and support today, man. That was a long ordeal with Blinken. I very much appreciate every single one of you guys being here because you guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you guys decided to be here. You know what I mean? I just can't thank you enough. Yeah, dumb young buck hitting the bars hard. That's listen, man. I know some good shit, you know, and I'm around that good shit. So, anyways, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. I very much appreciate you guys. Stick around. We're going to be going heading and rating. Let's see if they're still live. Let me make sure of this. Like, I don't want to talk out of my ass because lately I've done that. Okay, so we're going to send you guys over to Kickstands Down, this buddy of mine. Go ahead and show him some love. And we got, I believe, Carney on the panel or something like that. So anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more of the world's madness. God bless to everybody. Much love, honor, respect to all of you guys. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on 2 wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar.